Welcome back to The Person Everyone Needs. I am Webb Hoggard, and we are talking about parenting the person everyone needs once again this week. So from the very beginning of my parenting time, I have kind of leaned into some models that I'm sure that I may find that they weren't that helpful, but they're helpful for me to have some kind of bar or standard or guardrail to move toward. And one of them I learned many years ago called the stages of parenting. And I believe it was something along the lines of like the first 5 or 6 years is the years of discipline. And so these are the years of timeout and spanking and making sure that they understand like this is the areas that they're allowed to do and they can't do. Obviously reasonable, you don't spank a 1-year-old and that kind of thing, but just trying to help them learn correct behavior before they can cognitively understand. That's the purpose of spanking or timeout and that kind of thing. Then you move into training. Training is when you tell them what they can and cannot do, but then you also explain the why. You're trying to train them so they have an understanding, a movement toward wisdom. Oh, these are unreasonable expectations because A, B, C, because I'm working on these things here. So that's what the point of training is to do, is to help give some level of direction along with the discipline so that they can eventually correct themselves and move in the right direction. Then you're going to move into what is coaching. And so this needs to happen in the ballpark between 12 and 14 until they're 18, which is basically conferring some level of adulthood. Now before that freaks you out, I just want to remind you, like throughout ancient history, 12, 13, 14, this is the age where people were given adulthood. They were given responsibility to make these decisions and move forward and that kind of thing. And so it's not highly unreasonable. The issue is that we often don't do that now because we want to let them be children and give them this. I hear those phrases all the time, let them be kids. The only problem with letting them be kids is that then they don't learn how to be adults. And by the time they have to learn how to be adults, they no longer have some adults walking alongside of them to help them to figure out these things. And so it's been my aim, the reason I told you all that, it's been my aim that my children will be able to walk in the areas of controlling their own life, making the decisions for their life when they're still in my house, where I can help them clean up the messes before they go off to college and they have to learn adulthood without me being close enough to help them on the regular. Now, obviously, I'll still be there for my kids. My point is, I want to start putting the weight in the truck before they have to leave my home. I want to start giving them the power to make decisions, the power to direct their life, to decide what they're going to do and what they're going to be. I'm still going to be a coach on the sidelines. When they have questions, I'll definitely help them make the right decisions. When they ask me, I'll give them the play to play. But for the most part, I'm going to do what I can to let them start playing in the life they're on. And so that's just the stages of parenting that I've been kind of leaning toward. Who knows? I might have to eat all of these words, and that is what I'm trying to move toward. So I've got a boy now that'll be 12 in a few months, and so I'm trying to look at very specific ways I can let him know I'm going to let go of the back of the bike so that he can start riding on his own. And I want him to be ready for that. I don't want to just leave him, but I also want to give him the room to come to me, asking me for help and direction in those days. So sometimes discipline is a way to help them to tune in their ears. So the word discipline basically could just mean the word no. It just means saying no to certain actions and behaviors. The scripture, beyond the children obey your parents, it moves into the next segment and it says, bring them up, fondly, lovingly bring them up, show them, direct them. And the discipline and the instruction of God. Discipline is in the areas of what to say no to. Instruction is showing them what areas to say yes to. And so as you move into your parenting, yes, both of these things are very important. You have to discipline, show them what to say no to, and then you have to train them in the right areas so that they can understand the direction so they can do better as they move forward. You have to be who you need to be in this season so that you can enjoy being who you want to be in the next. If you skip the season of discipline training is going to be really hard. And if you don't do any training, I'm going to tell you, you'll never be able to become coach, because you will still be parenting them well into their teenage years, because you never taught them how to regulate what to say no to and what to say yes to. And the last group, see, discipline, training, coaching, the last group is to eventually become friends. But a lot of times, a lot of people who don't ever do well in the first three phases, they end up having to redo that in their grandchildren's lives, and they never really get to enjoy the friendship stage. Why does this happen? Well, sometimes we neglect providing basic needs. Sometimes we neglect being the primary teacher, and sometimes we're not doing what we can to do all that we can be to deal hope in their lives. So let me mention to you the fourth thing I like to mention to you, the blessing. Your voice matters. To affirm your child, you probably will never get out of your child with the primary motivation of nagging the negative. You will probably only ever get what you want by affirming who it is that you want them to be. So confer upon them some adulthood, some responsibility, the things that you want to see in them. When you see it come to pass, affirm that. I love Jordan Peterson says, do not let your child do anything that makes you dislike them. I mean, that's clear, right? Don't allow them to have the freedom at the point to which you get embarrassed of them. That's not good. That's a codependency that you need to work out. But also that you eventually get to the point where you don't even like your own children, because you've allowed them to do things that are within your right to fix, to correct, even rebuke. I mean, that's a scriptural word. The truth is, our children desperately want to please us. They want to make us happy. They're not wanting to make us unhappy. They do want to test boundaries. They want to see how much they can get away with. And one day they will even use those tests to decide how much you love them. But you still have to parent. You still have to direct. It's your job that if they can't make it out of the nest, they're not going to make it at all. So you still have to do what you can to make sure that they're ready for that. Your kid wants to make you happy, so show them what those things are and then affirm them. Be proud of them. Say well done to your children. You know, Jesus had this very same thing happen to him. Jesus is beginning his ministry. He's starting to get a following around him. People are starting to recognize who he is. John the Baptist even affirms, this is the guy. This is the guy that I've been telling you about. I've been telling you to wait for the guy that's going to be greater than I can't even put his shoes on. Jesus wades out in the water where John's at and says, will you baptize me? And John, there's this weird, awkward scene. John's like, no, I can't do that to you. You should baptize me. And Jesus said, no, that's not how this works. Like, I'm being obedient to what my Father's told me to do. And so John baptizes him. And in that moment, from the sky, you hear the voice of God speak, and it says, this is my child who I'm very well pleased. Oh my goodness, what an important moment. I know for myself that was something I looked forward to in my parenting. Look, I know sometimes we can overindulge in our words, but we've got to find a way to get the communication out that we actually are proud of the things that we have been looking forward to in our children. I remember when my dad told me he was proud of me the day I graduated high school. I'll never forget it. It affirmed something in me. It built something up in me. It helped me. It blessed me. It encouraged me. I remind myself of that day from time to time that my dad is, in fact, proud of me. I didn't know that. I won't figure it out on my own. I also now understand, after years of healing, I know that my dad loves me. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's always loved me. I didn't know that. Growing up, I thought that I was the issue in his life. I thought I was the problem. I thought I was always just representative of the thing that he didn't want to have to deal with. But that was my stupidity, and probably a scar somewhere in my life that I was living out of that, man, I wish I could go back and just tell myself, your dad actually does love you. Y'all may not know how to communicate it very well, but there's love there. It is worth your effort to make him proud, to honor him. I wish I could go back and tell myself at a younger age, obey, honor, give way to, trust, be loyal, sometimes it feels like it's not so much regret. It just feels like wasted time that I could have done a little bit better. I wanted to make him happy. I just didn't seem to really know how that would be. I look at my boys now, and they want to make me happy. I can tell it. They don't like it when I'm not happy. So the best thing I can do is, A, don't be ruled by my moods. B, tell them exactly what it is that would make me happy. And then when they do those things, take the time to affirm them, point it out, say, you've done well, good job, good and faithful. It's not just what you ought to be doing. Thank you for doing the things that I want to see in you. The blessing is important. Now, when your kid gets around 12 to 14 years old, you need to find a specific way to convey to them that they are now receiving some level of responsibilities in their adulthood. An event that they used to do in the ancient world, bar mitzvahs and that kind of thing. But I say the ancient world, they're doing them still today, but it seems like in most of our cultures, we don't know what that is. It's not a bad idea to take a moment and just bestow upon them, I'm proud of the person that you've become, and I'm going to let you start having some freedom to make your own decisions, have more responsibility in your life so that when you come up against difficulties, you'll still have me here to help you through them. Those are parents that are going to probably parent the person that everyone needs.